Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So there's actually some stuff here that I do want to get into, and this has to do with the new variant walkers because there's actually an interview here by Greg Nicotero, and he actually discussed the name for them. So we actually know that this is officially a new type of walker. I mean, we did see it. There was some stuff that was off about it, but it seems like this new type of walker is actually going to be playing a role here. And again, there's a name for it, which is actually really interesting, and I really do wonder how much that's going to change a lot. And I mean, there's a lot here to read into, and we'll discuss all of that, obviously. But we also have the episode title, I believe, anyways, for episode 1. So I want to discuss that, and then more stuff, obviously, with the Daryl Dixon show. So before we go any further, obviously, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And if you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet on YouTube, definitely go do so. I will leave a link down below. Episode 6 will be dropping tomorrow. And then, episode 7, obviously, the Monday afterwards. We're dropping episodes every single Monday. So yeah, I hope to see you guys subscribe. We're almost at 100 subs, and it would really mean a lot if we could actually hit that sometime soon. But yeah, thank you guys so much. So like I was saying, Greg Nicotero actually did an interview with, at least I'm seeing it here, from TV Insider. And he discusses this new type of walker, and he actually discusses the overall narrative of the Daryl Dixon show and what the show is going to be like. And first, let's actually talk about that here. So the show here is obviously... The main plot here is Daryl is going to be delivering Laurent to a specific location. He's at like this convent or whatever you call it. And that's sort of just the place that he's been for a while, but he needs to go somewhere else. And this is something that obviously, I mean, it's very Cure storyline like. A lot of people think it's a lot like The Last of Us, which, you know, there's a lot of similarities there. But what I like about it is what Greg Nicotero says here, which is Dixon takes us back to the beginning of what the DNA of The Walking Dead started as, which is a man on a mission. And I actually really do like that for a premise, because Dead City had that premise as well. It wasn't so much like that. It wasn't focused on one specific person. It was more focused on two people. So you just had a different dynamic for the story, right? Like you still had that same mission. They were going to New York to save Herschel. So there's still that part of it there, but you're focused more on two people, right? Like Maggie and Negan. And it does change things a bit. It does create a different dynamic. It's just a different type of story. It's not like The Walking Dead was in season 1. You know, it originally started as, this is a man on a mission. This is Rick Grimes' story. Rick is on a mission to go and find his son and to try and survive the apocalypse with his son, right? That was the very, very beginning. That was literally the first just anything of any story. That was the premise. A man is out there trying to save his family or find his family. He eventually finds his family and he tries to protect them from the apocalypse and survive, right? That's literally the general plot here of The Walking Dead. And then it turned into a bunch of other things, obviously, because you kind of have to at some point change it into other things. And Daryl Dixon is going back to what, you know, Nicotero was saying here, which is the DNA of The Walking Dead, which is a man on a mission. And I really do like that. I do think the premise of Daryl Dixon focusing on protecting Laurent and bringing him to a specific location for a certain cause or whatever it's going to be, it's, you know, you have a point to watch the show. There's a journey. You want to see the journey through. You know, I'm a huge fan of that. I will say, though, I do think for season 2 of these shows, and I've talked about this a lot, but it needs to have more than 6 episodes, because 6 episodes is good for, like, I guess for the first seasons here, because you're just establishing stuff. You want to, I don't know, like you really want to give just good entertainment. You want to, you know, but I feel like for some of these stories, you do need to just have it go on a little bit longer. And I do think 8 episodes is probably better. I would prefer 10, but if you don't want to do that, I think 8 for sure is better. 6 just feels like a little bit too less. Like Dead City, I loved those 6 episodes, obviously, but I wish there was like 2 more episodes just to maybe like flesh out some more stuff, just to give us some more backstory on some of the characters, or maybe just to like have some more adventures within New York City kind of thing. I think 8 episodes would have been perfect. But again, it's the first seasons. I think it totally works for now, but just hopefully for season 2, for both these shows, they get like at least 8 episodes, 8 to 10 in that range. But Nicotero also talks about the new zombies here. And he says these zombies have mutated to a point where if they touch or bite you or their blood gets on you, it burns you significantly. It changes all the rules. And that is something that I am just like, man, this is honestly, like, it's honestly kind of insane. The way he references these zombies, or what he calls them anyways, is burners. These zombies are apparently called burners. And it's really interesting. It's very, very fascinating because it changes a lot. Because if they're burners, if that's the name for them, first of all, I love that. I think that name actually really works. I usually hate when they come up with different names for walkers. Like, I don't know. I know people like geeks as a name. I've just never liked that name. I've never liked that name. I've never liked like roamers, or I don't know. I'm not a fan of most of the names. I really like walkers. I just kind of like calling it that, or I will just call them zombies, which I know people don't like, but I usually just like calling them that. But burners, that I actually really like. I think that is something that could actually really work. It just sounds really cool because of what the zombies do. And that does change a lot because there's a lot of things about the zombie that it's like, again, they're very acidic, right? Like basically you can't get bitten by them, or I mean, obviously you can't get bitten by them in general, but them just touching you, they're going to burn you. And we saw Daryl actually go through that. Daryl got grabbed by one of those zombies and he got burnt right away, right? And we don't know the significance of what happens when you get burned. Does it, like, will it actually turn you? Is that something that could actually happen? Because that is a little more scary, right? If it's just a burn, I mean, there's different aspects to that could cause, obviously, issues here and there. But, like, at the end of the day, it's just sort of a burn. So you just keep your distance, basically. I don't know if you could really stab walkers necessarily. Like, that's the thing. That's something that is very different. You can't really go to a walker and just like stab it in the head with a knife, right? That's what our characters have done for years. If you do that now, there's going to be acid that kind of shoots out at you, right? And that's going to burn you. So you can't really do that anymore. So you do have to keep a distance. So that is really interesting. I think it would be cool though if the blood, like if they do grab you like that, if there is a way for that to actually still affect you where that could turn you into a zombie. And I think it makes a lot of sense because if you think about it, they're burning you. I mean, you could say that maybe it's cauterizing a wound of some sort, so it's not really causing an infection or spreading an infection throughout your body. But I think if you could sort of have it where it's still the same thing, like it's still maybe the walker virus or blood or whatever is still getting in you when it's still touching you because it's burning your skin, right? It's still gonna somehow infect you. Then I think that's something that would create so much more like insanity, right? So much more just to be aware of in this show. And that could be what Daryl Dixon is experiencing right now. Maybe at this point where he actually got burnt on his arm, maybe he's on the verge of actually turning to a walker. Like maybe that's actually something that's going to be happening, but maybe the burns are a little bit more curable. Like maybe that's something that they could actually cure because we have seen some shots, obviously, of Daryl. He seems very out of it and the nuns are treating him. It looked like he was being branded. That's what we all said anyways, but it looks like now, looking back at it, that it's more that they're just trying to cure him, I guess, and help him out because obviously he ends up being fine overall, right? Although you do got to wonder about that too. Like I wonder if that, and this could be wrong literally once we watch the first episode, but I actually do wonder if, like, after the first episode, if maybe they introduce the idea that Daryl is actually, he needs to bring Laurent there because if he doesn't, then something could happen to him as well, right? Like, maybe he's actually infected too or something like that. I don't know. I don't know how they're going to go through it. I don't know if that's going to be the case anyways. I don't know if you really want to put Daryl in a situation like that immediately. I do think what the nuns did to him in terms of branding or just getting or curing the wound or whatever is likely something that is actually going to work and Daryl will be fine, right? But these walkers called burners, it's really interesting because this is going to be, this is changing the game for The Walking Dead. This is introducing something super, super exciting. I can't wait to see what the show is going to be getting into in terms of just, you know, enhancing that a little bit more because not only are these walkers, and that's the thing too, the burners might not be that aggressive, although there could be more of a cross between them, right? There's still the more aggressive walkers in World Beyond, but in the World Beyond post-credits scene, right? We saw that walker, like she died, she became a walker, and she just kind of, she was yelling a little bit. She was a little bit more aggressive, and she ran at the door, and she was just like slamming herself at the door. Now imagine you get a walker like that, but that walker is also a burner as well. Insanely terrifying. That right there, I think would, I mean, it's scary, right? Like you really do have to keep your distance from all walkers. And like, what do you do? Like, I'm just trying to think of the actual scene that would take place. If you're just thinking about one of these burners getting close to you, like, obviously you're gonna kill it rather than let it like attack you, right? Like, say a walker actually like gets really close to you. I mean, our characters have experienced that so much throughout the years, throughout every season of The Walking Dead, where a walker sort of falls on top of you and you're struggling to like, you know, like fight it off kind of thing. You can't really do that with the burners. Because, you know, in those situations, what would sort of save you is you would just kill the walker and then the walker would just, that'd be it, right? You can't do that now. If you're killing the walker, the acid and stuff is going to burn you. It's going to go all over you. Like, that's something you can't actually do. You actually have to push it off of you. You have to get away. And not only that, if they touch you, you're going to burn. So there's just, the threat here is so insane. And when you're looking at this walker here, actually, like this walker that we got in the trailer the other day could be one of those more aggressive burner walkers. And I mean, they could be used as weapons. Like, that's just, those concepts, those ideas I'm really interested in, and I want to see if the show is going to get into some of that, if the villains are going to use some of those walkers as weapons, and maybe there's a more sinister or more evil reason why it happened. Maybe these walkers were created, and it seems like they were created based off of the World Beyond post-credit scene. It almost looks like there was some sort of, I don't know, there was something going on there, and it could be CRM related. That's the thing. Like, it actually could be full on CRM related, and it's interesting to think about, because this could be eventually how everything connects years down the road, right? And people want there to be more of a connection there. I do think if this is something that is established, that the CRM have, you know, they've been involved in this in some way, I think fans are going to be excited, because maybe there's no direct connection to Rick, fine, but the CRM are still playing a role in the Daryl Dixon show, and that's more of a thing that he's dealing with there. He's dealing with the CRM on his own, kind of thing, right? And I really do like that aspect to it. But I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Oh, actually, I totally forgot. I was gonna end this video without talking about episode 1's title. So apparently, episode 1, and I'm getting this here from @TheWalkingDead promos on Twitter. I have no reason to believe that this is wrong, really, because the title makes sense. I'm not entirely sure where they're getting it, but it says that episode 101 is titled, I'm not even gonna try to say it, but it's something that's in French, obviously, but it translates to The Lost Soul. And yeah, I think that obviously works. That makes a lot of sense for the title. That's sort of what Daryl is at this point, right? Like, he is a lost soul. So I think that, yeah, I'm excited for the first episode here. I'm so hyped for it. So post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.